In this episode of the Brawn Body Podcast, I'm joined by Steve Wiltshire. Steve has made health and fitness and his mindset a priority for the past 3 decades. Shortly after winning the Mr. Oregon bodybuilding competition, Steve developed an autoimmune disease that originated from a serious gut complication that almost ruined his health. We'll be diving into that throughout the episode. You'll also notice that throughout Steve's journey, his process has really led him to helping so many people reclaim their health and their power. Steve is a keynote speaker, author, mindset coach, and the founder of Body Temple Health and Wellness. We're super excited to have Steve onto the show today. Before we get to the episode, quick word from one of our sponsors. Steve, welcome to the show. Excited to have you, man. So I want to hear a little bit about your backstory for people who haven't heard of you before. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you've been through?
Oh gosh, that's a loaded question. I help people get what they want, everything that they want. I've been an entrepreneur since I've been 17 years old. I became very successful in sales, built a $19 million a year business. And then I hired this coach and it changed my life. I wanted what she had. I wanted to write a book. I wanted to become a keynote speaker. And so I started down this journey. And then 20 years later, my health was compromised. And my creator led me to, do you want to make a difference or not? Are you ready for this next stage in your life? And so I made this decision to jump into health and wellness. And I am so passionate about helping people, especially in this country, take charge of their health, body, and mindset. That's my passion.
For sure. Now, I want to hear a little bit more about how you healed yourself from autoimmunity. You kind of alluded to it there. You were really well into the fitness space. You were doing competitive bodybuilding, and then that kind of gut explosion, for lack of a better way to put it. So what happened there, man?
It was a gut explosion, brother. It was a gut explosion. Well, everyone that's known me for the last 30 years would say Steve Wiltshire models ideal health. Externally, I've always fit the image of ideal health. It matters to me, especially in my mind. You know, I have a lot of youth that come up to me at the gym and they're like, dude, you look incredible. And I look at them and I say, I do it for my mind. It keeps me insane. And I've always wanted to be consistent about it. I've been consistent about it for 30 years. I don't even can remember a time that I have gone more than 4 days without working out, being in a sauna. And before I got sick, I thought everything I was doing was ideal. You know, Daniel, I have always found experts. I've hired experts to simplify my journey, especially around business and finances. It's like, I don't want to figure it out. And my team cracks me up. I crack my team up. Better said, they're like, there's got to be an expert out there for that. And so I had no signs leading up to what I want to call my condition that most would call illness. And I remember being with my son, having dinner one night. My stomach blew up like a balloon. And my son said, oh my God, Dad, what happened to your abs? And I didn't know what was happening to me. I was so bloated. And thereon afterwards, every time I ate anything, I was bloated. Doctors were no help. My lab tests actually looked great. And I kept thinking, you got to be kidding me. What in the hell is the matter with me? What am I manifesting? And so the good news is my son's mom, who's my business partner with my entrepreneur brand and the co-founder of Body Temple Health and Wellness, she had been on this 2-year journey of healing herself from 3rd stage cancer, breast cancer, no chemo, no surgery, and no radiation. She became this rock star. I mean, she eventually healed herself. And now she's the example to everyone that you can completely restore your body, no chemicals, completely pure 98% of the time. She is my hero, definitely an expert. And sometimes we're hit with this, like these genes. I mean, cancer has been rapid in her mother's side of the family for decades. And we all have adversity cards dealt to us. And I just say it, they're dealt to us in this game called life, but that doesn't mean we can't win. We've got to be receptive. I would say that we're either in the receptive mode or we're in the resistance mode. And it's often part of our life path to conquer something and get through it and help other people. And it reminds me of episode 100. It's very similar, Daniel, to your grandfather's story. It took my breath away. In fact, all your listeners, if you have not heard episode 100, be ready for change. It is going to change your thinking. You will lose sight of any victimization. You will see what we are all capable of. So back to the original question. So I followed Lynn's path. I got connected with her experts. And after I shifted from doctors to healers, I can't call them anything else. They were healers. They might call themselves a chiropractor. They might call themselves a naturopath, but they were healers. I learned I had this serious case of candida and what modern medicine calls celiac disease. I call it a condition. Autoimmune is a condition. It's not a disease. The body's capable of reversing any condition, especially if the condition is identified early. So what does that say? Our part to play is lab tests twice a week. And if you want what I want, lab tests quarterly. And I take it very seriously. And most importantly, we got to be aware. We got to be tapped into our body, mind, and soul. We're often kind of living in the external world instead of living in our internal world. And that means meditation. That means tapping in. And Dan, why don't doctors talk about parasites? I don't get it. I mean, almost 14% of the US population has parasites and they don't know it. And even these BS stool tests that Western medicine uses on their patients don't always even indicate whether they have parasite. But the tests that from naturopaths do, I don't get that. So parasites are contracted from chemicals and toxins contained in our food, our supplements, water, animal protein, tons of animal protein. And some can even be passed through sexual contact. And parasites activate cancer. So heck, I was eating super clean and I even contracted parasites, which gave me candida. But even 2 years ago, I had no common signs except I was feeling fatigue. And I remembered that's how I felt when I had candida. And man, I'm a mover and shaker, but I was handicapped. And I never want that to happen ever in my life again.
Right. No, I can't blame you there. So it sounds like you're saying that the autoimmune condition that you've kind of developed, and I'm saying condition because, as you said, you can heal yourself from a condition.
Yes.
It originated mostly from the chemicals that you were kind of ingesting during your bodybuilding days and the supplements. And it sounds like you're saying that the knowledge that you were getting from our modern medicine system wasn't sufficient enough to kind of provide that long-term roadmap to get you to where you needed to be. And that's why you had to seek out natural means of healing.
You're good at this. Bingo, dude. Absolutely. Yes, I would say that 70% of the cause was the bodybuilding food and supplement plan, and 30% was stress. See, we know what we know. We know what we don't know, but we don't know what we don't know. I would have never believed that stress, anxiety, depression was directly related to ill gut health. I had no clue. Anxiety and depression is connected with gut health. When young children experience depression or anxiety, they often say, "Mommy, my stomach hurts." I wrote an ebook called How I Diminished Anxiety and Depression Without Drugs. I remember them wanting to get me on antidepressants. And my mother at 28 was like, "No, you don't need to do that." That's what led me to working out, dude. Like I was a skinny kid, always thin, didn't like my body. And that's kind of what led me to working out, getting healthy. But I didn't have depression, but definitely anxiety. And here's my story. I had friends telling me for years, "Steve, you need to compete." I was traveling all over North America. I was hosting these seminars, speaking at conventions, doing leadership conferences. I had more clients I had time for. And so the thought of competing was a bit of a stretch for me. I was 43 years old and I thought, I'm going to do this for myself. I'm going to get into the best possible shape of my life. And I knew I couldn't control whether or not I won, but I could control to what degree I focused on like being in the best possible shape of my life. And it was, man, it was one of the greatest experiences in my life. I had never had so much energy. I never had been so focused. I even traveled to host this event, Daniel, the weekend before the Oregon bodybuilding contest. And my trainer's like, this is going to cost you your show. This is going to cost you a show, but I'm a mindset coach. And so what I realized through the experience is that it was the only time in my life where other people's decision didn't affect me. It was like, oh my God, no one controlled when I followed through with my workouts or my meal plan, cardio, posing, belief. And I want all of you to hear that, because I know you've got a culture of people that followers that, you know, are really plugged into fitness. I mean, it's the one thing in my life that I didn't have to depend on a team member or a contractor. And I envisioned myself in the best possible shape of my life, even played this game with myself to put out to the universe that I desired winning. And I would end my cardio with 1 second, 20-minute 1 second, 30 minutes 1 second, 45 minutes 1 second. Well, I competed in 2 shows. I won multiple categories in both shows, including the Mr. Oregon Bodybuilding show. And so leading up to these shows, I hired these naturopaths, like they were the best, the poser, the trainer, and I followed their plan. I was spending probably $800 a month on supplements, and I continued the plan for 2 years because I looked good. I felt good. I didn't even eat a lot of food. And then my gut caved. It completely stopped. I was so sick. It almost ruined my life. I remember this one point where I was like, damn, I have hundreds of leaders flying into Vegas for this retreat called the $1 Million Protege Leadership Retreat, Vidara Resort on the Strip, praying to God, saying, dear God, give me the strength to get through this retreat. And thank God for grace. But chemicals were part of the illness. And Lynn is this expert, in fact, on toxins and chemicals now. She wrote an ebook on how toxins and chemicals, how they destroy our body and how to avoid them. In fact, just a few stats, brother, over 68% of bar-coded food products sold in US contain added sweeteners. And there are 56 different names on labels disguised as sugar. So our gut is the mind, and it's the mind of our body, and it's responsible for most of our overall health. And if the gut isn't happy, neither are we.
Right. And there's so many other statistics to back that up. I think the last number I saw was 62% of people worldwide suffer from digestive issues, whether it be constipation, indigestion, diarrhea, whatever. And 95% of serotonin, one of our key neurotransmitters that's involved in cognition, learning, memory, mood, 95% of it is produced in your small intestine. So if you don't have that gut health, it's not just impacting your ability to keep your gut healthy and do what it's meant to do, like absorb nutrients, but it impacts every other aspect of your body. So I can't echo what you're saying enough.
Brother, like, I love that you're bringing up, like, serotonin is one of the happy hormones.
Right.
And dopamine is too. And like a big part of my process with people is shifting their poor habits to ideal habits and notice their triggers. People wonder why I don't heal, or why don't I get better? Why can't I give up this addiction? And it's that damn dopamine, man. They're just like, they'll go into those old habits. Like it's fascinating. I can talk about this all day.
So you are the founder of Body Temple, and you end up coaching a lot of people, and you have other trainers and coaches that help coach people through their health. So in your experience, have you found that a lot of people have challenges with gut health? Obviously, I just threw out the stat, but what have you seen?
You know, studies now show that up to 90% of all diseases can be traced back to gut microbiome. And millions of human beings are experiencing leaky gut syndrome. 90% of all human beings are dealing with some level of leaky gut. And it basically means you have these little tears or small holes in the gut lining, which allow tiny food particles and chemical toxins to get into your bloodstream. Now, I remember thinking, how the hell does this happen to us? That's all I wanted to know. I was less interested in even the science behind it and more interested in what decision can I make that will ensure a quality of life in the future. And a lot of us aren't thinking about, where am I going to be in 10 years or 15 years or 20 years? It's the American way, right? You want what you want. But my accountability is all the sick people that I talk to and help every day. I don't want what they're experiencing. I mean, the US, as you know, is one of the sickest countries per capita. We've been trained to think entitled. I deserve to drink on the weekends. It's been a tough day. I'm going to buy a milkshake and a donut. And even your health, some people, their health is at like a 9 on a scale of 1 to 10. Everyone is dealing with all these microscopic toxins and chemicals and processed food. Supplements. 92% of all the products on the friggin' market have supplements in it. That's why I had my own gut detox supplement designed for me. I wanted a chemical-free, 100% chemical-free supplement. Water, clothing, even personal care products. And the studies of chemicals in fish from polluted rivers and oceans told me I better stop eating fish or find some like accurate resource. And it's crazy when you think about how could anyone be healthy with all these toxins accumulating in our bodies? I mean, we need to create our own reality. And even if you're young, like my healthy son, who's 23, we grow sprouts. I grow sunflower sprouts, pea sprouts, wheatgrass. I even take wheatgrass intakes, which is like a wheatgrass enema, like for my gut. I buy some amazing produce locally, but no one talks about it. Mm-hmm. It's dead. It's really dead. I buy like the best resource or produce that I can find, but they're not like my sprouts, and it's not the same. And when we learn how to cleanse and nourish our bodies properly from the inside out, we increase our energy. We gain mental clarity. I mean, my skin looks immaculate. People are always complimenting on my skin. We naturally lose weight. So whether your health is challenged or has become stagnant, or you feel great, for sure, the greatest decision you can make is to constantly and consistently detox your gut on a regular basis. And when you make gut detoxing a consistent health practice, you're going to naturally release waste. You'll increase your energy, elevate your clarity. That's what I live for. I mean, I want clarity. I want a rock life. I want vitality. I don't want to be here on the planet unless I feel good. It's not longevity for me. It's how I feel at 85. I want to be like a Betty White at 92 doing what'd she do? This breakdown, like a break dance, man, like she's a rock star, right? But it all begins with cleansing your gut and developing a weekly maintenance plan. And I want you to know, I'm gonna help you. I have even a complimentary gift for everybody. It's my passion's the gut. 15-day kickstart gut detox plan. In fact, it's simple. You can find it by going to bodytemplekickstart.com, bodytemplekickstart.com. And nothing frustrates me more than listening to a podcast, or I listen to a lot of webcasts and webinars and being teased and not getting answers. So bodytemplekickstart.com.
Right. That's a great resource, and we really appreciate you sharing that with our listeners. Now, as you mentioned, a lot of different chemicals exist in medicine, in food. Let's just take medicine, for example. I don't have the exact number right off. I believe it's around 80% of medications contain refined forms of petroleum in them. And if you have a medication or even just dietary supplements at home, grab the label and just see if something like polyethylene glycol comes up, because that comes straight from petroleum. So it's very difficult to avoid these things because they're everywhere anymore. You mentioned at one point that I believe it's like 68% of products on the market have these ingredients in them. So what process do you take your members and clients through to help avoid those and help overall improve their health?
Thank you. And thank you for that stat. Yeah, I always forget about that. I need to like bank my mind right now on that. Like when people start taking pharmaceutical drugs, why are they always having a hard time eliminating their waste? They're bloated. They can't. And for I have so much compassion for older people. Oh my God. And especially, your generation, Daniel, is so much more educated. And that's why I love youth. So many of them are trailblazers. They don't let other people think for them. I'm going to go on a tangent, so I better back off. But when I back out of the driveway, brother, every day I say to myself, Steve, you're going out in the world, stay curious and pull out the best in people. And I know that I call myself a male Mary Poppins. I'm out just pulling out the best in people. And I think it's interesting how many people just say to me, what do you do? Like even a checker, what do you do? Yeah, I've had people come up to me in the store or at just out even listening to music. And I'm just like, just connecting with people. What do you do? They're always curious. And I say, I help people get what they want, everything that they want. And my attempt is to get people off the stands and in the court playing the game at their best. And the problem is most people don't know how. They Google, they get overloaded with content. A confused mind says no, right? Our coaches and I focus on two pathways. What's in the realm of your control and what supplementation and wellness experts will support your transformation, the ideal outcome that you want. And my favorite question, my loaded question, the question that just pulls people forth is, what do you suppose you need to change about yourself and what you're doing to get the results that you want? And I shut up. And they start to go general. They know what they are choosing that they don't want or what they're experiencing. And the body temple philosophy is make a commitment, you're ready for change. Design your ideal meal plan or ideal plan, wellness plan, and shift your poor habits to ideal habits and notice your triggers. So we have this awesome program. It's called Take Charge Your Health, Body, and Mindset Customized Coaching Package. And we have three kinds of clients. Usually the client who's ready to up their game and take their health to the next level, or the client who's stuck, immobilized, and doesn't know how to begin, or the client who's experiencing health challenges or is dealing with severe conditions and they need to narrow their focus. And I found that people are overloaded, like I said, with content, and experts don't always guide them back to what they're familiar with. It's like we have all these people that just say, this is it. This is the box that you're going to stay in. And this is exactly how you need to do it. And it's not familiar to them. People don't like change. Our template is this program we call an ideal wellness plan. And the key to success is customization. So I first start off with list your top 5 to 7 reasons why achieving your ideal intentions deeply matter to you. And then I often say to somebody, I just say, what don't you want in 10 or 15 or 20 years? Like, I don't even want to be around if I don't have vitality. What's often, if we can look at the place we don't want, we can shift the coin over and focus on what we do want. And then I take them through these exercises called Take Charge Your Health, Body, and Mindset. It's a wheel. And this 3-minute evaluation, the reason it's 3 minutes, it took us months to create. We've answered every question or statement with what somebody would want or not want. After they do it in 3 minutes, they're just checking boxes. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe this has been a wake-up call for me. And then the body of this ideal wellness plan is the action plan. We design their food and beverage menu, their shopping list, their fitness plan, their chemical-free supplement plan, their fun and recreation. Yeah, we need to have fun. And then also wellness treatments. Most importantly, did I say that? The morning ritual. Because how you start your day when you've created this plan to think a certain way, that's when you're going to notice step 4, non-negotiable affirmations. What are those triggers that are going to try to set you off, that are going to diminish your ability to live in this highly elevated state? And it's Tony Robbins, man. I've been trained by Tony Robbins. We all want to be in this state, but the story gets in the way. And if we want to change our story, we have to change our strategy. And it begins with our thinking. Thoughts held in mind reproduce in like kind. Where the mind goes, we follow. We got to train our brain. A habit is when the body becomes the mind. So for example, when I'm triggered to make a choice that won't take me where I want to go, I say that. I just say, hey, is this choice going to take you where you want to go? And last, we design this health intention affirmation statement that they read every morning and night. I got this entrepreneur brand for 20 years. It's a program called the $1 Million Protege Leadership Program. And one of the umbrellas of the success is designing this life and business plan. And these clients build million and multi-million dollar businesses. And it's not all the how-tos, because if the how-tos worked, everybody would be successful. They read this affirmation that they wrote at a time where they were so conscious that we took to sometimes 6 or 7 stages. They read it first thing in the morning before they get their butt out of bed, and the last thing before they go to bed. And it reminds them where they're headed. So it's the same work that I do with the Body Temple brand and our coaches.
Right. What really stands out to me with that, as you were talking about what you do with Body Temple, is the focus and intention to detail that you present to every client that you meet with. So when I think about healthcare, right, health and wellness in America, we don't think of, a doctor who's going to sit down and spend 30 minutes with a patient, hearing everything that's going on and trying to understand the pieces of their life that are contributing to poor health. Because It's not always just, physically what you're doing or not doing. It's not always what you're eating or not eating. Sometimes it's your lifestyle. Sometimes it's those daily habits. And obviously, if we can control our habits, then we can control and shape our life and overall our destiny. So as you mentioned, you have to own your morning in order to own your day. If you can't control the first 20 minutes of your day, that's kind of like your time. That's your stillness time, your present time. If you can't control that time, how are you going to feel going through your day, driving to work and traffic's backed up, getting to work and your boss throws something down on your desk and tells you to do this, all these other things that you can't control. If you can't grasp that time that is yours by the horns, then what's going to happen to all that other time that you can't control? You're going to let it get the best of you. You're going to start to have that downhill slide, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And instead of approaching it with energy and positivity and things that we associate with good health, you kind of fall right into that vicious cycle that we're seeing so many people in this country fall into right now, from one disease to the next, from one doctor to the next, this diagnosis, cycle. There's a epidemic in this country that it doesn't really have a name, but we look at chronic diseases and every single one of them is trending upwards: obesity, hypertension, anxiety. And there's a reason,
especially since COVID.
Yeah.
Especially since COVID. Brother, you are on your element like this. I think you're a future Joe Rogan.
I don't know about that.
What a beautiful job you did recapping. Listen, everyone, listen. Think about what he did. Dan recapped the core. Like, nobody should get your effing morning but you. Your morning is yours and your creator. And you've got a soul that's tapping into, trying to capture your attention, that is always one step ahead of you. When you think in that universal way, you're being guided. And I can't tell you what that has done for me, having a very demanding life. Nobody gets my morning but me and my creator. But you have a plan. You've got to focus in that miracle morning ritual. And that's what we do. I've got a whole process that I help people create, what I call their miracle morning ritual. And it's and it has to do with the most important areas of their life: relational, spiritual, physical, and financial / career. And when you have these affirmations, you train your mind. And I can tell you in my own life, man, like I had a time where I could not, Daniel, go out and hang out with people without having a cocktail. Like, I mean, even when I got healthy, like I would just, it was a thing for me since I had been 21. I go out, hang out with a group of people and I have a cocktail. Even when I told myself no, and then I was powerless. I felt powerless. I had to go months without meeting people in environments where there was alcohol. I could not do it. I'm not talking during the day, but just like evening. It was just this habit that my body got elevated to experience. Yeah, crazy amazing.
We're talking a lot about body temple, and we're talking about different habits like manifesting your morning. And those are things that you do every single day yourself. How did that kind of play into how body temple came to fruition? Is that something that you've kind of woke up and thought about every single day for a while? Did your initial episode of autoimmunity, when, like we said before, your gut literally blew up, did that kind of trigger the push to found Body Temple, or how did that come about?
I just can't help but help people. I'm listening to you right now thinking you are so tapped in and tuned in. Because seriously, everybody, he doesn't know what's coming, but he is so tapped in and listening and in his higher vibration. It was meditation. How Body Temple came to fruition was meditation and guidance from my creator. And I wasn't listening. I remember having this very strong sense that I was going to create this movement. And a lot of it came out of Lynn is my ex-wife, my son's mom, my best friend, my hero. And she had always supported me and been a co-pilot for me in my entrepreneur brand. And I heard my creator say, you're going to be your co-pilot. And I just kept ignoring it. And then I had gone through this move. And I remember one Wednesday night hearing that voice say, are you going to do this or not? If not, I'm moving on to somebody else. And I made that decision. All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I'm so glad that I did. There's so much more. It's so much more purposeful than my entrepreneur brand. When something makes you cry or pulls out the healthy, I'm going to say, empath in you, I have such a desire and passion and purpose to help people understand and to tap into their inner guidance system. And when you shift externally, when you shift internally, your external results shift. So first in thought, then in mind.
I like that you said it came from meditation. As we said before, stillness is the key. So being still and present in the moment allows you to tap into, like you said, those inner thoughts, those things that we don't always think about because we're so overloaded with other content, other information. How many people do you see when you walk outside that just sit there on their phones and they're constantly, consuming information from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and they're never present listening to their creative inner thoughts and beings that are given to them from their creator.
I mean, today I was looking at last night, something not so good happened for me. I mean, my computer, my laptop completely closed down, and I had so much content that was not that I lost throughout the day. It was a long story short, right? And I had to shift. I'm just like, you're going to go meditate, and you're going to shift. You're going to go meditate, and you're going to shift. And this morning, I knew I was behind. I had other things I needed to do on my phone. I'm looking at my phone, which is turned over. And I went to pick my phone up, like, Wiltshire, you got to talk to yourself here. But Wiltshire, you're not picking up your phone. You're going to be tapped in to this conversation with Dan. But it does start with meditation. Meditation, and a lot of people don't even know what that means. I do a whole program on meditation. If you want to really study somebody, Joe Dispenza, he is my hero. And Joe he has got millions and millions of followers. But elementary meditation, sitting there and not thinking anything, moving meditation, can be out in nature. Moving meditation, there's so much more. I mean, when he did this case study with the 50,000 people that had a death sentence, he and all different religions, all different walks of life, all different countries, they only had three commonalities. Number one, they believed in a creator. They believed in something that wanted them to heal. Second, they completely became unknown to the people that were close to them. They said they weren't the same person. How do we do that? They weren't the same person. They knew who they were, but they were like the best version of them, like a spirit. And third, they lost track of time in meditation, and not the meditation that we can see that might be just what we do in the morning, but the meditation of doing the thing that you love to do, just like a rap singer. If a rap singer is, I mean, do you ever hear a performer they're not even on a scale of 1 to 10, they're not even a 10, they're 11. It's that live performance like Pearl Jam, Plain Black. I remember, man, he was so in his game. It was like, that's why fun and recreation is a big part of our process. Like, what's the thing you love to do that brings you joy, man?
Right. You mentioned Joe Dispenza, and I'm actually a little bit familiar with him. So I wanted to mention real quick, if anyone's interested in his books, I highly recommend. It's Becoming Supernatural, I think is his big one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Evolve Your Brain is the other one, I think it is. Yeah,
Right.
Great books. So that was my little side note there. I always like to throw out extra resources for people.
Get him on your show.
Speaking of resources, I know that you've mentioned earlier that you actually have one for our listeners. So Steve, tell us a little bit more about that complimentary program that you were offering.
Yeah, I just kind of mentioned it earlier, brother. It's called our 15-day kickstart or 15-day gut kickstart detox program. And the bottom line is we're going to give you this complimentary step-by-step process on how to detox, how to restore your gut, how to boost your immune system, and elevate your clarity. And you are going to feel amazing for 15 days. No, you don't have to take 15 days off work. No, it's not going to completely shift your life, but you are going to have a breakthrough in that 15 days. It's bodytemplekickstart.com. And we give you 3 levels. You get to decide what level is ideal for you. We have what we call a basic level, transformational level, and ideal level. So when we were creating it, we were like, okay, we know that there's people that are going to be like Dan, that are going to like want to go for the ideal level. And then there's going to be people that just to make that basic level would be a great baby step. Products that will do half the work for you: Purify Gut Detox Formula, Restore Digestive Enzymes, Fortify Pre-Probiotic, 100% chemical free. I'm non-vaccinated. Technically, I don't have an autoimmune disease, but that's what they said I had. I've been around so many people that have a COVID. I haven't gotten sick, not at all. And the importance of an ideal water source and drinking half your body weight in ounces, even in ideal practices on how to detox, depending on the level you choose. And then a few of my favorite examples, like the supercharger bath. Oh my God, it would just oxidate your body like you wouldn't believe it. Intermittent fasting for 14 hours and only drinking my nutritional green smoothie. There's so much nutrition in my smoothie. You'll get that. You get all these resources. And yes, you can still work and enjoy life while you detox. And sweating, it's the anti-aging secret. It's the shield of armor that will keep you from manifesting disease. If you saw a picture of me 10 years ago, when I had contracted this condition, my face looked like I had so much inflammation, and I was a bodybuilder. I didn't want to do a lot of cardio. I wanted to be my 225 buffed guy. And so I was careful about it. I didn't really do a lot of sweating. You know, I was always pretty lean and my body fat was maybe 6-7%, but I'm in a sauna 5 days a week. I'm at Bikram yoga 2 days a week. I am like constantly sweating. I get in the sauna, I'm like fully like dripping in 12 minutes. And so I want to teach you that. And then plant-based produce recipes that actually taste good and restore your health. And then how to replace sugar with foods that taste good and restore your gut.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that sounds like an incredible resource. I'm so glad as well you brought up that this is a way to avoid manifesting disease. We live in a time where, we are constantly thinking about diseases because of COVID. And I just can't
Yeah.
help but wonder, how many lives could we have saved if during this pandemic we focused on improving underlying health factors. 70% of your immune system is located in your gut. So if people
Mhm.
don't have good gut health, they're not going to have good functioning immune systems. So if we improve the function of the immune system, how many lives could we have saved? That's a hypothetical question. We don't
Hey, Daniel,
know.
what's your message for people your age?
My age?
Yeah, they don't think it's ever going to happen to them. Oh man, I
Yep.
got a new car. It's got 3,000 miles. I'm going to run the shit out of it. I mean,
Yep.
what's your message to them?
The biggest thing I can tell people is to buy into delayed gratification right now.
Mm.
I'm 24 years old. I do a lot of things that focus on delayed gratification, things that I know I'm not going to see benefit for right now, but I'll see that benefit later on in life. And a lot of people kind of question me on it, because they're like, well, you haven't seen the fruits of those labors yet, so how can you be so confident? And I say, look at exercise. In high school, I was 5'11", 125 pounds my freshman year. I'm
No
five foot
way.
11 right now, but I weigh 185 pounds. I have less body fat. I'm stronger, and I
Wow.
feel a lot better. I'm more energetic. And that's my example of delayed gratification. I didn't just start working out one day and become jacked the next day. It took time to get there. But when you get there, man, does it feel good. And that delayed gratification gives you so much more than instant gratification ever will. And I know that's something you can kind of relate to yourself, having talked to you before about that.
Gosh, can we stay here a minute? Like, I
Yeah.
love where you're going with this, and it's it's a thing. You know, I mean, desire and belief are the alignment that create manifestation. But belief doesn't often happen right away. We have to step into these, we see these milestones of successes that are smaller that create this compound effect. One of my favorite quotes is, vision is the impulse pulling us to distinguish who and what we are. It's the divine adventure into self-discovery where our greatest attributes are activated. More focus on vision than our reality. Romans 12:12, let your hope make you glad.
I can't echo that anymore. That was spot on. And it means a lot too, coming from someone such as yourself, who has been through a lot of different avenues in life, right? You're very successful. You've been through so many different life experiences, as we've talked about. And having someone who's already successful say, hey, what you just said is spot on. That's what
Oh,
you have to
yeah.
do. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that people my age really need to hear. They need that kind of affirmation and confirmation from someone who's already succeeded. Like, look, you're on the right track. You're doing the right things. Just keep on
You
keeping
said
on.
it in episode 100 in the beginning. It was so right on. You said, God, there were times I know I was going to get here, but you keep on going. You show up. That's
Mhm.
that first coach taught me that you show up. I spent $500,000 in the last 20 years in hiring coaches and programs. And man, that first coach just, God, I'll never forget that. Should just keep showing up, keep showing up. Yeah.
Right. Now, I want to hear, we're almost out of time, but I do want to kind of circle back here and hear a little bit more about the philanthropic movement that you have at Body Temple and the community that you've developed.
Yeah, it's simple, brother. I know we probably pretty much over. We started this community online, Facebook, and we started off with this complimentary 14-day body reset boot camp. It's a rock star. My co-partner, right, my ex-wife, I love that. She just nailed it. And we have Facebook Lives, we have complimentary resources, we have interaction with our members. It's completely complimentary. It's our Pay It Forward program. And when you register for the Kickstart program, you will be invited to join the online community. and all these discounts. And it's pretty cool. It's bodytemplekickstart.com. Remember that, bodytemplekickstart.com. You'll receive an email, an autoresponder, and you'll notice that there's a add your cell number, because email is not reliable. You'll see right when you register, it says, email is not always reliable. Would you like us to send you the link via text? And you will hear from a Body Temple coach in 5 days. Our coaches reach out, welcome everybody, and we are all about making impact.
For sure. We'll link to that in the notes below too. So if you forget the URL, you can just click on it there. Steve, anything else you want to share with our listeners here?
I want to thank you for this time, and I want to acknowledge you for the work that you're doing. I have a 23-year-old son, and he's a lot like you, Daniel. And I want you to know that I see that you're before your time. You have a gift, my friend. And I am so enthusiastic about sharing your show with all of our community. You're on it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Brawn Body Podcast. If you could, take a second, share this episode with a friend, someone you know that would benefit from hearing the advice and insight that Steve and I offered throughout this show. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to our episode and give us a follow on social media. You can find us at Brawn Body, Brawn with a W. Last, if you're listening on iTunes, I'd really appreciate it if you left us a review, rating, whatever. That way we know how we're doing. Thank you, and we'll see you next week for another exciting episode.